Welcome to the Initiative.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Initiative. I'm so excited to be making this video and to be talking to you today about the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, which was finally officially confirmed today at the Square Enix Presents E3 event, where Eidos Montreal revealed the Guardians game in all its glory. That we got a trailer, we got gameplay footage, a release date, pre-order bonuses, and even story details as well. And I'm going to be going over all of that right now. If you could like and subscribe beforehand, that would be sweet. But let's go ahead and get into the analysis and breakdown. I'm just going to be going over the gameplay info that I was able to pick out by watching and studying the footage that was revealed today. So first of all, I think one of the first things you notice is that there's a sort of a choice system in the game in place, and basically there are choices you can make as Starlord, who is the protagonist of the game and the lead character, which we will be playing as. There are these choices you can make that won't affect the overall outcome of the story, but these choices do affect your relationships with the other members of the Guardians, and apparently it will affect how you get to the outcome of the story. So there's already a set storyline and a set outcome for the storyline, but there will be, I guess, minor differences in how each player gets there based on what choices you make as Starlord, and I think that's very interesting. So that's one of the obvious things that I was able to pick out from the gameplay that was shown today. But to get more in depth into the actual combat of the game, which is probably the one thing that I'm the most excited about, is the combat in the game, because it looks very JRPG influenced. It's very RPG like. In fact, it's so RPG like that there's even victory screens after the combat sections in the gameplay footage. Now that's pretty interesting to me, because a part of me says that, you know, victory screens are kind of dated. I don't think we need them anymore. I think Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I think is like possibly the best like JRPG I've played in years, it didn't really have victory screens that I remember. I haven't played it since, you know, I played it last and I beat the game and everything, and it was amazing. I loved that game, but I don't recall there being victory screens there other than like in the arena mode. So I feel like it's kind of an odd choice to have victory screens in this game, but hey, you know what? It's like it might be a style choice. It might just be part of the JRPG thing. Maybe the HUD elements can change on this. Could be more interesting if we could get like a, you know, post-battle report like how we did. Maybe that would make this victory screen a little more interesting, but it does seem like we will be getting victory screens for our battle encounters, so that's interesting. I just want to point that out. Next, let's get into the actual gameplay itself, and this is where I get really excited. So in this gameplay, it seems that it's going to be rocking with a party system gameplay kind of deal, kind of like in the Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy games, where you play as one character, but you are able to command the other members of your team. And here our team is made up of 4 additional team members, and right now it seems it's Groot, Drax, Rocket, and Gamora, but maybe we can customize the roster later on if we get more recruits, which I think would be sweet. And each member of your team seems to be mapped to a face button on your controller. So Gamora is on the triangle button, Drax is on the circle button, Rocket is on the X button, and Groot is on the square button. And from there, once you select a member to command, it gives you 4 ability options for them, which I think is also interesting because it makes me wonder, will each member have more than 4 abilities? Will we be able to choose from a variety of abilities to equip and select from in this menu? For example, in Final Fantasy VII Remake, we could unlock a variety of abilities for Tifa and Barret, and then we could as players customize and select which ones we'd want to have like readily available in battle. You can also do this in the Kingdom Hearts franchise through shortcut menus, which you can customize as a player. So I think it would be really cool, and it's probably likely that we will have more than just 4 abilities per member, and that we'll be able to select which ones we want to equip for battle. So anyway, these are the 4 abilities for Gamora that we can see in the game right now. These are their icons anyway. And then Drax has his 4 abilities here, which I took a screenshot of, and we can see those icons there as well. I think it's really interesting how Starlord slows down time in order to select a teammate to command. This also gives me a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake vibes. Again, great game. If you guys haven't played that game, I highly recommend you play Final Fantasy VII Remake. But I think it's really interesting, you know, there's just a lot of JRPG elements here. It feels very RPG-like, especially with the slowing down time and the victory screens. I think that's really cool. But it also looks very fast-paced. So let's talk about some other abilities that Starlord has. In the comics, Starlord is known for having an element gun. This isn't something that has been touched on in the MCU, but it is something from the comics, and it seems like that has been carried over into this game because in combat, there are a couple things on your HUD. There's your health bar, of course, and then there's also your party members on the bottom right side of the screen, which, as I said earlier, are mapped to the face buttons on your controller. But there's also on the bottom left side of your screen, there's a diamond with 4 options for different elements for your element guns, it seems, because throughout most of this gameplay, Starlord has the ice element equipped, but at one point in the footage, he does actually switch to the electricity or lightning element, and we see how that affects the enemy that he's fighting. It seems to give him some sort of shock damage. It seems to stun him a little, so that's really cool. That's really cool that the element blasters will be a thing in this game, and I'm really excited to use them and switch between the elements mid-battle. I think that would be really fun. Also, I forgot to talk about this when I was going over the party members, but once you use an ability with a party member, there's actually a cooldown timer before you can command that teammate again. So I guess that forces you to command a different teammate or just wait until the teammate that you just commanded resets. I think that's really great. And again, that's talking about the RPG elements in the game, which really excite me. So there's a cooldown timer every time you command someone. That's awesome. And then also there's a purple bar next to the party member icons. And when this purple bar fills up, you get this huddle ready option. And when you press LB and RB, it seems that that's when Starlord brings out his Walkman and starts to play music, which seems to have a passive effect on the team as a whole. Everybody starts glowing purple, and maybe that makes you do more damage. I'm not sure, but that's pretty interesting. I just wanted to point that out. We also got a good look at Mantis in the game as well, so maybe she will join the roster. Maybe we will recruit her to join our Guardians team, and if so, I think that'd be sweet, because then we could switch out Drax for Mantis, for example, or switch out Groot for Mantis, you know, just so like every player can have their own like lineup, their own party of the Guardians. I think that would be really great and increase, like, you know, player customization. You know, personally, if I had my pick of the litter, I would include Adam Warlock and Moondragon as recruits and have them be on my party at all times, because they are like 2 of my favorite Guardians from the comics, and although we haven't seen them in the game yet, they do claim to be taking a lot of Dan Abnett influence. So if true, I would love to see Adam Warlock and Moondragon in this game. I think I've talked about them before on the channel, but I love those Guardians characters, and I would love to see them here, and I would love to have them in my party. Also, the Twitter account confirmed that we can change the outfits of each of the party members, like individually, and that they will all have various outfits to choose from, so that's also very exciting. Again, another cool customizational aspect of the game. So I think that concludes my gameplay breakdown. I talked about the party system, how it reminds me of JRPGs, how they have cooldown timers and abilities, and how the huddle up thing is a separate ability as well, tied to that purple bar. I talked about the elemental weapon that Starlord uses in the comics being a part of this game, and how it seems to work so far. I do believe it is tied to the D-pad on the controller. That's just me guessing, because, you know, I'm just guessing on that one, but I do think it will be tied to the D-pad on the controller, which is cool. So next, now that I've talked about gameplay and the choices in the game as well, I just want to talk about the pre-order bonuses in the game, because they excite me a lot. Because the regular pre-order bonus is this pack of throwback skins. That's what they're calling them, the throwback outfits, and these skins are incredible. This is honestly like one of the main selling points of the game for me right now, because I'm such a huge fan of the Guardians and the comics and their classic looks. So I will definitely be pre-ordering the game, because I have to play as this version of Starlord. Like, once I pre-order this, I'm never switching out of this Starlord costume. This Gamora costume is incredible. Drax looks incredible. Rocket is wearing his fancy suit, which he wore in his miniseries, and he's also worn on other occasions in the comics fairly recently, in recent years. And Groot just kind of looks like Groot here. I don't know what comic that skin is referencing or what specific media it's referencing, but overall, I'm a really big fan of this pre-order bonus here with these throwback skins. I'm a huge fan of these, and I'm definitely never switching out of that Star-Lord costume ever. So I'm a huge fan of this, and I will definitely be pre-ordering the game just to get these outfits. But there's also additional outfits that you can unlock through the Digital Deluxe pre-order edition. You can unlock the Sunlord Starlord outfit, which premiered in the Al Ewing run, which is ongoing right now. By the way, guys, if you're not reading the Al Ewing Guardians of the Galaxy comics, they are super good. I'm very excited about this run of the Guardians. It's really great, and I'm really glad that this costume made it into the game. Who knows? Maybe I'd switch into it and use it every now and then when I'm not using the throwback skin, which is my favorite Star-Lord costume ever. There's also this original design that they made for the game called the City Lord, which looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie, it does look cool, and it is original, and that's awesome. So there are those pre-order bonuses. Okay, now talking about additional things that were revealed today. Number one, on the Twitter account, they revealed that the MCU skins will be coming to the game. So that's cool that we already know that ahead of time. That's awesome. Next, we also got some story details on the website and through Twitter, and just additional details about the game. For example, on the Twitter account, they revealed that the story will take us through various planets and locales, and that there will be an exploration aspect to the game, which I think is cool. That kind of gives me Jedi Fallen Order vibes, and that's a game I really liked, so that's pretty exciting. Next, talking about the story of the game, I'm just going to read directly from the website because I think they word it better than I ever could. So on the website, it says this. It says, "In our game, the Guardians have been together for less than a year and scour the galaxy in search of adventure and profit. Deep down, they're also trying to leave behind the memories of a galactic war that took place 12 years ago. This group of misfits is their hope for a fresh start. One day, they explore a restricted area of space filled with space debris in search of a valuable monster and hoping to make a killing. The Guardians being who they are, they goof around with a bet that's just crazy enough to end up going spectacularly sideways. Turns out this bet wasn't all that harmless, and they soon realize they've set off a chain reaction of catastrophic events. Under Star-Lord's approximate leadership, the Guardians will go from one end of the galaxy to the other to make things right and ultimately become family." So, that's a pretty interesting story pitch. The devs have said that this is going to be an original story, so I'm not sure where this is going as of now. But the website does also give a lot of credit to Dan Abnett, so maybe we'll see a lot of Annihilation influence. And I think one way that we might already be seeing that is in this description where it says memories of a galactic war that took place 12 years ago. That really excites me because in the comics, in the Annihilation Dan Abnett comics, obviously the Guardians formed as a result of the Annihilation War, right? So Star-Lord and Nova served on and fought in the Annihilation War, and that's a big part of their characterization and their friendship in the books. So if the Guardians in this game have experienced some sort of galactic war, could it be that Star-Lord in this game is a war vet, right? Like in the books? Is this galactic war they're talking about the Annihilation War, maybe? Does Star-Lord already know Nova? These are questions that are lingering in my mind right now, and I think that could be possible because from what we see of Star-Lord in this game so far, yes, there is a lot of MCU influence, clearly, but there's also a sort of jadedness to him. He seems tired. He seems, he does feel more like a leader than the Guardians, than the version of Star-Lord that we see in the Guardians movies. So maybe where did he get these leader-like qualities? Maybe he did fight in the Galactic War 12 years ago. Maybe he did fight in the Annihilation War. Maybe he already does know Nova. This Star-Lord does seem to have a little bit more experience on his shoulders than Chris Pratt's Star-Lord in the movies. So that's very exciting to me. And if they are getting a lot of Dan Abnett inspiration and they do reference the Annihilation War, I will definitely geek out over that. I think that sounds really cool. Next, I want to talk about some quick little Easter eggs I caught in the trailer, and then I'll just wrap it up with some overall opinions. But some quick Easter eggs I caught are these right here. So at the very beginning of the reveal trailer, we see a Cree sentry head floating in space here, which is cool. For a second, I was like, oh, okay, does that mean it's connected to the Avengers game? But supposedly this is its own separate thing, so that's fine also. But hey, if there's a Cree sentry here, that means we could be seeing the Cree race in the game, which means, hey, could we see Ronan the Accuser? Now, Ronan the Accuser is a character that I think was done really dirty by the MCU. Again, I don't mean to disrespect the MCU, but I think the version of Ronan in the comics is very different to what we got in the MCU, and I really prefer the comic book version. So if the Cree are going to be a part of the game, and we do get to see Ronan in this game eventually, I do hope that he is more comic influenced than MCU influenced. I think Ronan is a fantastic character in the books, and I would like to see him portrayed thusly. Next, I caught this really cool Dazzler Easter egg in Star-Lord's room, maybe. In the gameplay trailer, we see Star-Lord looking at himself in the mirror, and right behind him there's this poster of Dazzler. Now, if you don't know who Dazzler is, she's actually like a mutant pop star, and so the fact that he has this poster in his spaceship makes me think, do the Guardians know the X-Men? The X-Men clearly have to exist. I mean, Dazzler is a mutant. And while we're talking about the X-Men and the Guardians, well, the X-Men have really deep connections in Marvel lore to this race of space people called the Shi'ar Empire. So could Star-Lord having a Dazzler poster on his ship, maybe could we infer from that the Shi'ar and the X-Men exist in this universe, and maybe could we infer from that we could see the Shi'ar in the game? I would love to see the Shi'ar in the game, and if we do, I would love to see Gladiator in the game. I think that would be sick. So I'm really happy about this Dazzler Easter egg because it really made my brain spin for a second. I thought that was really cool. Really neat Easter egg there. Also, in the trailer, we see the Nova Corps, and they look really interesting. These Nova Corps soldiers, they don't really look like they do in the MCU, and they also don't quite look like they look in the comics. It's a very original take on the Nova Corps. It really feels very Final Fantasy to me. Again, I'm really feeling some Square Enix DNA here. Their designs here really remind me of like some soldiers in Final Fantasy 15 or something, and I like that. I like that quite a bit. And in the trailer, we actually see Star-Lord and the Guardians fighting against the Nova Corps. So this is confirmed as an enemy type in the game, that the Nova Corps will be an enemy type in the game, and we see them fighting in this little clip here, which I will show, and I think that's awesome. And then lastly, of course, they reference Lady Hellbender in this reveal trailer. And Lady Hellbender, to be honest with you guys, I don't know who Lady Hellbender is. I looked her up after watching the trailer and everything, and apparently she was in some Hulk comics, so I'm not quite sure what her role in the story will be as of now, but that's a comic book character for you, and this is what she looks like in the books, so that's cool. So that pretty much covers all of the Easter eggs that I found in the trailer: the Nova Corps, the Cree Sentry, the Dazzler poster in his room, the Lady Hellbender character reference. These are all the comic book references that I was able to collect from the footage that was revealed today. And now that I've covered the pre-order bonuses, the gameplay, and the Easter eggs and everything, I will finally wrap this up and give you my thoughts on everything. So I gotta be honest, when the reveal first started, I was immediately hit with a wave of disappointment because of how MCU influenced it seemed. But the game quickly drew me in with its unique and exciting gameplay. I've already talked about how it seemed very JRPG influenced, and that I'm a sucker for that kind of gameplay, so I thought that was really awesome. And it also really excited me that they had Dan Abnett in this reveal footage and part of the presentation. It really meant a lot to me that Dan Abnett was a part of the presentation and basically signing off on the game. I'm really excited about this game now because, I grew up playing Square Enix games and reading Marvel comics, so if done right, this game seems like it could be the best of both worlds. Again, I'm a big fan of the party system. I'm a big fan of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy, so I think this could be a really sweet combination of that with Marvel lore and everything, and I think that sounds awesome, and I'm really optimistic about it. My one wish that I really hope comes true is that I really do hope that we are able to recruit additional members into our Guardians team and into our party. I think I talked about this in a previous video, but I'm a huge fan of the characters Moondragon and Adam Warlock from Guardians of the Galaxy history. So if the game truly is taking a lot of inspiration from the Dan Abnett comics, I hope that means that we will get to see Adam Warlock and Moondragon and maybe even Phyla in the game. I would love to add them to my party and command them in battle. That would be a dream come true for me. So I think that's really my one big wish for the game based on what I've seen today, is that I hope that we can recruit more members into our team of Guardians, and that would be really awesome. That would be really awesome. But yeah, I think that about covers everything I have to say about this. If I forgot anything, I'll just make another video, and I think I probably will be making another video about this game anyway, just because I'm so excited. I'm such a big Guardians fan. I'm such a big Square Enix fan. I just think this looks great, really well made. I will definitely be covering this game as much as I can. I might make a wish list video or two fairly soon. What do you guys think, though? Are you guys excited? Do you like what you see? What did you think of this breakdown? And yeah, just let me know your thoughts, and I hope you have a great day. So stay tuned for the next video.